Hello friends, welcome to the Point. Let's continue our discussion on India-Russia relations. So in today's session we'll be discussing about economic relations between India and Russia. The bilateral trade between both countries is concerned in key value chain sectors. So these sectors, it include highly diversified segments such as machinery, electronics, aerospace, automobile, commercial shipping, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, fertilizers, apparels, precious stones, industrial metals, petroleum products, coal, high-end tea and coffee products. So the bilateral trade in 2002, it stood at $1.5 billion and increased by over 7 times to $11 billion in 2012. So, and with both governments setting a bilateral trade target of 30 billion by 2025. Bilateral bodies that conduct economic relations between the two countries, it includes IRIGC, the Indo-Russian Forum on Trade and Investment, the India-Russia Business Council, the India-Russia Trade, Investment and Technology Promotion Council, the India-Russia CEOs Council and India-Russia Chamber of Commerce. So both governments, they have jointly developed an economic strategy that involves using a number of economic components to increase future bilateral trade. So this includes development of an FTA, that is free trade agreement between India and the EEU, that means the Eurasian Economic Union, which is a bilateral treaty. EEU, it is a bilateral treaty on the promotion and protection of investments, a new economic planning mechanism built into IRIGC, simplification of customs, procedures, new long-term agreements in the expansion of energy trade, including nuclear, oil and gas. Finally, long-term supplier contracts in key sectors such as oil, gas and rough diamond, and companies such as Rosneft, Gazprom, Esser and Alrosa will act as long-term suppliers respectively. Russia has stated it will cooperate with India on its Make India initiative by engagement in the development of smart cities. The DIMC, the aerospace sector, the commercial nuclear sector and enhancement in manufacturing of Russian military products through co-development and co-production. So Russia agreed to participate in vast over $100 billion and the DMIC infrastructure project, which will eventually connect Delhi and Mumbai with railways, highways, ports, interconnecting smart cities and industrial park. Russian President Vladimir Putin stated in an interview that one of his government's priority was of building a smart city in India, a smart city on the basis of Russian technologies. And AFK Sistema will likely be the primary Russian company involved in the project due to its previous experience in smart city projects in Ufa, Kazan and Rostov. Both countries have also agreed to work together in the aerospace sector to co-development and co-produce aircraft. Examples include the Sukhoi Super Z-100, Super Z-100, MS-21, FGFA, MTA and Kamau Ka-226. So some of the co-developed aircraft will be jointly commercially exported to third countries and foreign markets. Example, FGFA and Kamau Ka-226. So President of Russia's UAC Mikhail Pogosyan stated in an interview that we are planning to sell in India about 100 passenger aircraft by 2030. so which will account for 10% of Indian market of airliners in the segment as further stated. So the unprecedented scope of Russian-Indian cooperation in military aviation, it has created a scientific and engineering basis for undertaking joint projects in civil aviation. India is currently the world's largest cutting and polishing centers for diamonds. So both countries, they have agreed to streamline their bilateral trade in diamonds through reductions in regulations and tariffs. So Indian Prime Minister Modi stated in an interview that I made 3 proposals to President Putin. First, I would like Alrosa to have a direct long-term contracts with more Indian companies. I'm pleased to know that they are moving in this direction. And second, I want Alrosa and others to trade directly on our diamond bourse. So we have decided to create a special notified zone where mining companies can trade diamonds on consignment basis and re-export unsold ones. So thirdly, I asked to reform regulations so that Russia can send rough diamonds to India and re-import polished diamonds without extra duties. Analysis predict through streamlined procedure and initiatives that bilateral trade in this area will significantly increase. So Russia has agreed to build more than 20 nuclear reactors over the next 20 years. So Russian president, he stated in an interview that it contains plans to build over 20 nuclear power units in India, as well as cooperation in building Russia designed nuclear power stations in third countries. So in the joint extraction of natural uranium, production of nuclear fuel and waste elimination. In 2012, Gazprom Group and India's GAIL, they agreed to LNG shipments. They agreed for an LNG shipments to India of 2.5 million tons a year for the period of 20 years. And LNG shipments for this contract are expected to begin anytime between, and the date is given as 2017 to 2021. It might take place this year. So Indian oil companies have invested in the Russia's oil sector. A notable example is ONGC Videsh, which has invested over $8 billion with major stakes in oil fields such as Sakhalin 1. So in joint statement released by both governments, they stated it is expected that Indian companies will strongly participate in projects related to new oil and gas fields in the territory of Russian Federation. The sides will study the possibilities of building a hydrocarbon pipeline system connecting the Russian Federation with India. Officials from both countries, they have discussed how to increase cooperation between their countries' respective IT industries. Russian Minister of Communication Nikolai Nikiforov has stated in an interview, the development of IT products and software has traditionally been a strong point of India. So we welcome possible joint projects in the field and closer contacts between Russian and Indian companies. So due to India simplifying recent visa rule changes for Russians traveling to India, the number of tourists increased by over 22%, and in 2011 the Indian consulates in Moscow and St. Petersburg issued 1,60,000 visas, an increase of over 50% compared to 2010. So both the countries, they set the investment target of 30 billion by 2025. Since they met the target by 2018 itself, India and Russia expect to enhance the figure to 50 billion, and India also proposed to set up a special economic zone for Russian companies. So talking about the free trade agreements, both governments, they have long weaved the bilateral trade well below its optimal potential, with the only long-term way of rectifying this through having a free trade agreement. Both governments has set up a joint study group to negotiate the specifications of an agreement. A final agreement would be signed between India and Eurasian Economic Union, of which Russia is a part of, which also includes Kazakhstan, Armenia, Kyrgyzstan, and Belarus. So, thereby, the Indo-Russian free trade agreement, it would result in a much bigger free trade agreement, including India, Russia, Kazakhstan, Armenia, Kyrgyzstan, and Belarus. So it is predicted once an free trade agreement is in place, bilateral trade will increase manifold. So thereby significantly, which increases the importance of economics in bilateral ties. Cooperation in energy sector. So energy sector. So we can say it is an important area in Indo-Russian bilateral relations. In 2001, ONGC Videsh, it acquired 20% stake in Sakhalin first oil and gas project in Russian Federation, and it invested about 1.7 billion US dollars in this project. So the Gazprom, the Russian company, and Gas Authority of India have collaborated in joint development of a block in the Bay of Bengal. Kundankulam nuclear power project with 2 units of 1000 megawatts each is a good example of Indo-Russian nuclear energy cooperation. Both sides have expressed interest in expanding cooperation in the energy sector. In December 2008, Russia and India, they signed an agreement to build civilian nuclear reactors in India during a visit by Russian President to New Delhi. Space cooperation. Historically, there has been a long history of cooperation between the Soviet Union and India in space. Examples include Aryabhatta. So it was India's first satellite, named after an Indian astronomer of the same name. So it was launched by the Soviet Union on 19th April 1975 from Kapustin Yar using a Cosmos 3M launch vehicle. So the only Indian to visit space was Rakesh Sharma, was also launched by the Soviet Union. During the President Vladimir Putin's visit to India in December 2004, 2 space-related bilateral agreements were signed. An Intergovernmental Umbrella Agreement on Cooperation in the Outer Space for Peaceful Purposes and the Interspace Agency Agreement on Cooperation in Russian Satellite Navigation System called GLONASS, which means it is a space-based satellite navigation system operating as a part of radio navigation satellite service. So this GLONASS, it provides an alternative to GPS, and it is a second navigational system in operation with global coverage and of comparable precision. So subsequently, a number of follow-up agreements on GLONASS have been signed. So in November 2007, the 2 countries, they have signed an agreement of joint lunar exploration. So this space cooperation programs are under implementation. And Chandrayaan-2, it was a joint lunar exploration mission that was proposed by ISRO, that is Indian Space Research Organization, and the Russian Federal Space Agency RKA, and it had been projected at the cost of 4.2 billion rupees, so which is about 90 million in dollars. So this mission, it proposed to be launched in 2017 by GSLV and included a lunar orbiter and rover made in India, as well as 1 lander built by Russia. So but due to the repeated delays in the joint venture, the Indian side ultimately decided to develop its own lander and borne all the cost of the mission by itself. So later on, ISRO developed its own lander called Vikram. and launched Chandrayaan-2 mission successfully on July 22nd, 2019 from SDS SHAR, Sriharikota, Andhra Pradesh. So talking about science and technology. So in the terms of science and technology, the ongoing collaboration in the field of science and technology between India and Russia under the integrated long-term program of cooperation. It is the largest cooperation program in this sphere for both India and Russia. ILTP is coordinated by the Department of Science and Technology, from the Indian side and by Academy of Science, Ministry of Science and Education and Ministry of Industry and Trade from the Russian side. Development of Cyrus Duet aircraft, semiconductor products, supercomputers, polyvaccines, laser science and technology, seismology and so on, including Ayurveda, have been some of the priority areas of cooperation under this ILTP. So under this program, 8 joint Indo-Russian centers have been established to focus on joint research and development work, and 2 other joint centers on non-ferrous metals and accelerators and lasers are being set up in India, and a joint technology of center based in Moscow to bring cutting edge technologies to the market is also under processing. So an ILTP Joint Council met in Moscow on 11th to 12th October 2007 to review cooperation and give it further direction. In August 2007, a memorandum of understanding was signed between Department of Science and Technology and Russian Foundation of Basic Research, Moscow, to pursue scientific cooperation. So this is all about India and Russia relations. See you in the next session with some other interesting topic. Thank you.